PTSD is a clinical diagnosis, as you know, so the hypervigilance and the avoidance, those sorts of things, those are symptoms, right? And they're documentable, and there's been plenty of work done on it. Where I really come in is I work on the soul, okay? From the soul part, the spirit part. Rush was committed, Road Home was committed in the beginning to work with the 4 pillars of care: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So clinically, okay, there's all the therapists and things, but these soul wounds, these spirit wounds, very often, it's something that a vet will feel. These vets have not been able to work with that part of treatment, okay? So I'm part of the treatment, but I'm more of a counselor and a listener. So they'll get all the treatment, and they'll get the meds, and they'll get the protocols and all of that to work on the PTSD. My first question is, how's your soul? No one's been asked that. And most often a vet will think about it as, not so good. That's where I start. So you have the PTSD symptoms, like for instance, avoidance. I want to stay in the house with the shades drawn and my gun on the nightstand. Why? I ask why. Why do you avoid? Why do you self-sabotage? Okay, it's another big behavior we're talking about here. Why are you so hypervigilant? So you get into the why. Okay, we know it is, but why is that? That's where I really start to do my work. And we're finding that PTSD and moral injury knit together as often as not, more than we think. So why do you avoid? I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed because I had to shoot that child, because if I didn't, that child would have set off that suicide vest and could have killed my squad. All right? I'm a father. Every time I see my kids, I see that child. Every time I go to Walmart, every time I go to the drugstore, every time I go by the school, it reminds me of my shame and my guilt of what I did. That is moral injury. Moral injury is described, as we describe it, is either a perpetration or an observation or neglecting to do something to stop a morally injurious act and the effect that it has on you. We're all born with a moral compass, and we carry it with us wherever we go in life. When you're a kid, and faith might, a faith tradition or whatnot, a faith upbringing might be part of it. So it's basically, thou shalt not kill. Even if faith isn't a part of it, it's a very moral upbringing. Decide to serve. Put up your hand. I choose to serve and suborn myself to a set of standards and values greater than myself. All right? Now you add conflict, you add deployment, and now you got to put all of that on the line. Now you've brought your moral compass with you the whole way. Now you're in a situation where you may have to take life or see it taken or be in some terrible situations. You now have a compass that you swore to uphold on your original compass. Okay, thou shalt not kill, kill or be killed. All right? They work in tension. There's no way they can't. So then you go outside the wire again and again and again. Something happens, traumatic event, that compass shatters. Now what do? You got to try and put it back together. That's what we're talking about with moral injury. And, what's it going to look like after it's done? Being put back together. You put try to put a mirror back together, it's never going to look the same. So where I come from is, where is the soul wounded? What is the soul wound, and how do we heal it?
BrainLine is powered in part by Wounded Warrior Project to honor and empower post 9/11 injured service members, veterans, and their families.